All right, thank you, Julia. And finally, we turn now to the Copper Country. That's where TV6's Houghton Hancock Bureau reporter Colin Jackson is. He stopped by Hancock's polling location earlier today to see how voting traffic has been. City's residents are voting along with the rest of Houghton, Baraga, and Keweenaw counties on a single millage proposal. Hey, Colin.
Brady, hello there. So yes, as I discussed a little bit earlier on, all of Baraga, Houghton, and Keweenaw counties, they're all involved in the voting of a proposal for the Copper Country Intermediate School District. That's going to be a renewal of a millage for their CTE programs dotted across the three counties. Now, I stopped over at the Hancock voting places. They have 3 precincts there, and the workers there were kind of sharing me some of the numbers of the people who were voting earlier this afternoon. For Precinct 1, around 2:30 today, about 26 people had voted in person, 80 had submitted absentee votes. Precinct 2, 40 people had voted in person, with 100 absentee votes submitted. And in Precinct 3, 39 people in person and 120 submitting absentee votes. Definitely a lot of more people voting in with absentee votes than people in person at the polling place. Everyone is very eager to see how that CTE proposal is going to turn out. This is Colin Jackson, live from Houghton. Back to you, Brady.